All right, all right. Hello, 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 and welcome everyone to tonight's session of the male perspective. Tonight we have the none of the realest of the real, Miss Corey Hammond. And Corey, thank you for jumping on tonight for tonight's topic. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
All right, absolutely, absolutely. So for those of you who are watching tonight, we're going to be talking about a wonderful topic, an amazing topic, something that you ladies might enjoy, the fellas might enjoy it as well. But we're going to be talking about when does a man pursue relationship and not just sex? When does a man? What point in his life? But before we get into that, let's talk about Corey. Corey, introduce yourself to the folks. As you do that, like we talked about, what would be your theme song if you had a theme song?
Oh man. Well, thanks again so much for having me, Tim. If I had a theme song, it would probably be Rick Ross. Every day I'm hustling. That's the old school track that I used to listen to back in my college days and many years ago. And it's just my life's theme. Every day I wake up, I'm grinding and hustling, for my family and just to be the provider and everything. So in terms of my business, my YouTube channel, everything that would sum it up in a few words. Every day I'm hustling by Rick Ross. And then you also asked me just to go talk a little bit
Okay.
just about my page. Do you want me to jump into that? Talk anything about the page, or you got those more questions for
Yeah,
me?
go
I'm
ahead.
ready.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Nope, go
All right.
ahead.
So real men get it done. Real men get done. That is my hashtag. That is how folks can find and locate me on YouTube. This project that I launched has been a labor of love for the past several months, and it started honestly with a conversation with my parents. So I get tip my hats off to them, my mom in particular, and my dad. They helped me get the channel up and going initially. My mom, she loves YouTube, so she is a YouTube junkie, and she will just watch and have things rotating all
What?
the time. And she loves watching some of the cleaning channels and reality stars that are on YouTube. So she was like, "You could do that." And I came over a couple of different times in there watch it. She was like, "You should do that." Just so some of the stuff that you do, you could be on YouTube. Sharing some of your keys to success with people. So I kind of started to think about it. I was like, well, it was that time in my life where it's like it wasn't saying I wasn't busy, because as a father or dad, I got a million and one things on my plate. But it seemed like at the time could be a healthy outlet
Right.
just to be able to pass on some nuggets of information to people. So that's kind of where the idea just kind of spun from, of real men get it done, because that really just captures everything that I'm about, from fatherhood to cooking to cleaning, to just doing everyday things as a dad, and to really just promote fatherhood and promote that us as men, like, we do matter, and that we do need to support each other. So that's kind of in a nutshell what my channel is all about. So you may find me on there again cooking. You may find me on there doing my daughter's hair. You may find us having conversations. It just gives me a great platform to just kind of connect with people and kind of bring them into my space and into my world. So that, in a nutshell, is what I'm all about. So people can connect with me and check me out at Real Men Get It Done.
Man, that's dope. So did I hear you say doing your daughter's hair?
hmm Yes, sir. All of my kids, including my wife, they're all natural, and my son, he's actually even growing his dreads. My kid, I have three. I'm married. I've been married for man, can't even remember, going on 13. Okay, don't I can't think where I'm on the spot. But anyway, 10 plus years, been married. My kids are 14, 12, and 10. And my girls, along with my wife, they're all natural. So they have locks. So I can interlock my girls' hair to twist them up and keep it tight. And my son, he just recently started growing his dreads, the high top dreads, which is the fad for the kids, especially down here, down south. So he has, you know, his head, his sides all nicely shaven. Then he has the dreads on top. So he's just been growing his and locking his out. So
Okay.
yeah, if you go on my channel and look at videos, you'll see me doing my son's hair. I'm at home barber too, so you'll see me cutting his hair and then washing, locking his up, and you'll see me with my daughters as well doing the exact same thing. So yeah, man, from a little bit of everything, real men get it done. That's what it's all about.
Okay. I see you, boss. So what kind of style do you your daughter? What kind of style?
Well, I mean, dreads are really basic. I just had started the past several months. So like wash and twist them up is really kind of to tighten them just so that they are nice and fresh and you don't see the fuzziness of the hair. But I can braid a little bit. So a lot of times with my youngest, she may
Okay.
want just to wash and retwist and then to kind of gently braid hers up. So put them in braids so that she can undo the braids and then it's a nice little curly effect. So something like that. And my son, he's just basic. I mean, he just wants a nice, fresh edge up, line up, making sure his dreads look fresh. So each kid just depends, but I stick with the basics of just getting them right. And then a lot of times my wife, she'll add the finishing touches. You know, if it's a particular style that they want, adding bows and stuff like that. But yeah, I help my wife and kind of help the load so she doesn't always have to do it. Because doing a set of a head for even my youngest can be like 2 hours. So you imagine that, 3 kids. You know, I just was like one day I was like, I'm gonna learn, watch YouTube videos myself to help my wife out because I was like, I know when she does them, she's 4 to 6, even longer hours doing all the hair. So I was like, I'm gonna help lighten the load and at least be able to connect and do a few of the kids' hair. So I kind of rotate. I'll do the heads once, then maybe she'll rotate and do them. So that's kind of how we balance it out for like the past year almost right now.
Wow, man. That hat, man, I ain't got no hat. I would say hats off to you, but that's powerful.
Yeah, man, it's fun.
That
Like I said,
really is. That
it's
really
all
is.
just been a part of the channel. You know, like I said, real men get it done. It's breaking those gender stereotypes and saying that, you know, we can do it as well. We can be those helpmates to our wives and ears that people may not think we can be, and then we can tackle things that we may normally do. You
Right.
know, washing the car, doing the yard, doing projects like that. Like we can do it all as men, and that should be supported and celebrated.
So did that come from your parents? Is that where this mentality came from, or did you pick that up on your own?
Oh no, definitely the mentality of where I'm at definitely comes from my parents. My I had very two parent household growing up, very strong parents. My mom, she would always say phrases like she's not gonna raise a pissy tail boy. So she always wanted me along with my sister to be able to do it all, you know. So if my dad had me out in the yard cutting the grass, and my mom would be out there having us plant flowers. Inside, my dad, you know, he's a chef. He liked to cook. Mom would cook too and show us what was up. Mom also would teach us how to clean, and you know, we did spring cleaning where we had to wash baseboards and windows and stuff like that. So again, it just ended up being a part of my DNA, and maybe weird versus some other people. I actually do like to clean, like because my mom has taught me. So I like a clean space. I like to actually clean. So for me, my channel is really organic. It's not me really putting my hat at anything that I don't necessarily know how to do. Like I think I can tackle a lot of stuff. So I like playing around with different stuff or just stuff that I've already been doing. So that's what I said. You may find me showing folks how to clean a bathroom or to make a bed. Like I said, it's just who I am, and you never necessarily know about the impact that you have on others, that people who may can't do things that you normally just do all the time. So that's why, again, when my mom initially gave me the suggestion of like, you should probably do a channel because some of the stuff that you do, you could drop some nuggets on some people. I was like, okay, well, I'll see how it is. And the response has been good. It's been
Right,
fun.
right.
It's been a lot of hard work, as you know, being behind the scenes of a camera and trying to edit and do all that stuff to create and put out a product. But it's been a lot of fun at the same time. So it's been a little less than a year, and I'm very close to being monetized on YouTube. So I'm pushing it these next like month and a half to see if I can get there. But I am at a little over 700 subscribers and close to my 4,000 watch hours. So you got to have 4,000. For those of you who don't know, have no clue, you have to have
Wow.
a thousand subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time to get monetized on YouTube, which means you can start getting into ad revenue and all that good stuff and getting paid to do the stuff that we love to do. So your boy is hustling. I'm pushing. That's why I said Rick
Right.
Ross. College days, that was my jam. So again, just all around, I'm hustling, just trying to make it happen.
Wow, bro. That's excellent. You definitely gonna have to come on and teach some folks about how to step up the YouTube game. I mean, you got it like that. That's knowledge.
Man, every day, every week is a learning lesson. Man, you just pick up stuff here and there, and it's a blessing that it is taking off. But yeah, man, I'll be happy to do so in a later at a later date for sure.
Absolutely. All right. So you said a lot of things coming up as you were talking about your upbringing, your parents, your mother and your father, just the support that you received in terms of just being the man that you are right now. So, with this topic, when do men seek relationship and not just sex? So, you've been married 13 years, 10 years. How were you able to actually bring yourself to point, young boys, how we are, to make a commitment to even get married?
Well, for me, again, the commitment piece wasn't a hard. And again, I hate to say that I'm different. I know there's not. I know there's other men out there that are similar to me. I haven't ran into a whole bunch, but I hope and pray about it. Like when I'm thinking about my own daughter, as I've gotten older and meeting other men who are just about family, about growing up their family, making sure their daughters can have a good positive portrayal of a man. So I know there's other good guys that are out there. I know it is. You yourself speaking. But for me, I guess growing up, it was I had just had looking at my parents and the good men around me, I just had a positive idea of what relationships were. You know, I have family and cousins who were males who maybe didn't have their dads in their lives, but the people who I had around me, my father, my uncles, my grandfather, I was able to see strong men, lead their families and to see what relationships and what marriage was supposed to look like.
Mm,
To give you a snapshot even of that story, my parents, they and I'm horrible about dates. So again, that's why even with I know that I was married, but I just again, my wife knows I'm horrible with dates. I always have to calculate everything on my hands. But my parents knew each other, I think as early as like grade school or something like that. And then they been married for forever. So they're in their 60s and been married for forever. But they knew each other, grade school, and dated like in college, high school, and you know how that kind of happens. So even knowing their story, that was something that as a young kid I always admired and I always looked to. I was like, man, that'd be pretty cool. Somebody that you like rock with in junior high, elementary, end up marrying them and having a family and you have those connections. So that was something I kind of looked at and just had as an idea growing up. Never knew if it would happen or not, but that was just a kind of an idea, of course. Turns out my wife, we ended up meeting when
right.
we were in high school. We never dated when we were in high school, but we were good friends. So I have now known my wife longer than I've been alive. Like, and so my story ended up being true in terms of meeting somebody that I knew growing up, kind of, high school, and still with them to this day. But yeah, just having that positive idea of what relationships were, of what marriage was for me. Um, I guess I took a little more serious, maybe than my peers at the time, in terms of that. So I was very adamant in terms of even being young and dating. And you know how it is when you're young, like you're kids and you can fall in and out of love very quickly in terms of you like somebody one week and you're like, nah, I'm not feeling you the next week. And I was like
Right.
that, just like a typical teen, a typical, young guy, kind of falling in and out of love. But I tried to be as respectful as possible, in those relationships. I never considered myself a player to, have multiple girls on, kind of at the same time. So just being respectful in that, even if I was bored with you or if I was tired of you and it was a week or a month, I would like to be the one to be respectful and be like I'm just done. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm done. I'm not gonna keep stringing you along. As when some of my other peers probably be like, nah, I'm really not feeling her, but I'll keep her in the back burner and keep on moving forward with everybody else. So that's how I was. I love the ladies. I always had a lot of females, young ladies that are around, and had a lot of friends that were young ladies, but just try to be respectful in that regard. Just seeing my examples, of how my dad treated my mom, how my grandfather
Right.
treated, my aunts and how my uncles treated their wives. Like, so that I definitely say that I came from good stock, just seeing that and saying like relationships are important. Like, those don't be toying with women's hearts, because it can definitely come back to bite you. You don't want to have an Al Green situation on you, where you was that Al Green? They got hot grits thrown on him back in the day. You
I
know what I have with
think it
old
was the
school.
song. Yeah. Yep.
You don't have
Yeah.
one of those
Yep.
situations. So I know at a very young age, I mean, you don't, play with a woman's heart. So I definitely took that to heart, just how I operated in the dating game as I grew and matured. And I just, when it came to the marriage
Right.
piece, I just knew that I was ready. When it was time for me, I was younger than most, but I knew I was ready.
Right. What made you know?
For me, I think it was, I was transitioning out of college. I had one degree under my belt, and I went straight through and was getting a master's degree. And by that time, I was just tired of the games. I was tired of kind of being in that immature mindset of, okay, we're dating or we talking. I guess the phrases when we had back in the day was like, okay, you talking, and that didn't mean that you were exclusive, but that meant like, okay, y'all are leading in that direction. You be talking or you be dating, and then you just would be done with that person, for whatever reason. And I was tired of going through that up and down and yo-yo. And so I think right after I graduated college, I would say really on my grown man in that regard. I was like, okay, like, I'm tired of these kind of relationships,
Mm.
going up and down where you with somebody for a week and then like y'all not together. So I was like, I'm going to make sure that it's crystal clear from anyone that I move forward with. And this was after I had like, a couple good relationships in college. One that was kind of my one that was probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years, that ended with the girlfriend. I was like, okay, moving forward, I'm not just about to be jumping into relationships. Like, I just want to let people know, like, if I think it's worth pursuing you, then let me pursue you. But until then, let's just be casual. Let's be friends. Let's just have fun with it. So I would always start with that. If I was interested in somebody, that's how I started. I was like, okay, I'm not up for leading you on playing games, but I just want to let you know, because I was tired of all the games myself being played from the other side, from women. So I would just be very
Mm.
upfront. Now, I'll be honest, I would say that wasn't always, I guess, reciprocated. People would smile and nod and say that they knew what I meant and understood, but it was always, the girl that I may have showed some interest to, or went out on a date or so and told her that up front, that tried to pursue me and wanted to date me. When I was like, nah, I'm flipping this. Like, if I'm ready and I'm wanting to pursue you, I'll move forward with that. So that's where I was at, coming out of college, being what 18 19, 21, 22 years old, finishing up with my degree. And I was just like, I'm a little bit more serious about just dating in general. Like, I just was done with the games. I was like, let me be the one to pursue you and not the other way around, how it's supposed to be. If you're old fashioned, I
All
tend
right.
to be a little bit. So
Got a question then. So,
yes, sir.
since you come from such good stock, question I'm sure everybody wants to know: did you wait as a young man before you had sex?
I would answer that and say yes and no. And again, it's like in my mind, being the immature, and I'll be straight up with you. In my mind, being the immature kind of guy that I had, sex wasn't a number one priority for me. Um, Again, I was getting to know people. For me, I think in our generation, and again, I'm in my 30s, late 30s. For us, even having cousins and friends that had babies young, my whole thing was, okay, I didn't want to do anything that to mess up my future. So it wasn't the sheer fact of, okay, I couldn't have sex because I know that I could. But it was like I didn't want to have a child and mess up my future because I knew where I was headed. Like I knew I was college bound. Me and my sister were both first generation college students. Funny story even about that. My father finished and got his bachelor's degree when I was I think freshman or sophomore in college. So all for about 10 years, my dad had been piecing class together here and there to finally get his degree. But as I transitioned to college, we still were considered and were at that time the first generation college students, the first ones in our family to go off. And my sister's about a year and a half, 2 years older than me. So me knowing that and knowing how much of education played a role in just our livelihood and how I saw education really impact my family, that's what I saw as like, okay, that's a game changer. I didn't want to mess that up. So to give you more insight about that and to give you a big picture about that, my parents, we grew up in the inner city. We grew up in the hood. Could definitely remember seeing, roaches and all that good stuff, just hood stuff. We grew up in the inner city, in the hood. But I specifically just remember, like,
Right.
well, my dad, he had a factory job at the auto plant. I specifically remember when he started doing his classes and getting a little bit more education, like I could see, and I didn't piece it all together then. I can explain it a little bit more now, but I saw our livelihood change. So I found out later on as I got older that education was that game changer. I saw my dad go from being on the assembly line to building the cars to, having an office job and eventually, retiring with, a nice, comfortable job at the factory that he worked. So for me, education, like directly seeing that as a kid, I didn't realize then, I'm sure I couldn't articulate how much of an impact that had on me. But by the time I definitely got to, junior high and high school, I was like, man, education is so important. Because I remember us living in the hood in a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was 4 of us. So my sister and I, of course, shared a room, and remember like when my parents built their first house. So for me, it was like, or actually, even when we got our first house, so the first house that we got, my parents built their second home. So being able to transition from the hood to our first house and seeing like, okay, this was the first time we were in a good environment, leaving your bike outside and coming back and it's still there. Like I saw the direct impact of education.
Yeah.
So when I had the opportunity when I was, coming into my manhood and being a teenager, when I knew, as I said, sex could have been an option on the table, I was more so like, I didn't want him to have anything mess it up. I don't want a kid. I don't want an STD. I don't want, HIV to be the stumbling block to mess me up and get me off my track of moving forward my education to make a better life for me and then for my family. So that was really my stopping point. And the people that I hung around was pretty much on the same game.
Right. Okay. So then, and I don't want to generalize, but it sounds like the shift for you came early because of the power of more positive things and how it could really give you a better life. So whereas some young men may have didn't have anything else but maybe to look forward to with sex, you saw the world through a different set of eyes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that statement. And that's for me, like, even when you pose that question, I was like, man, that's a hard one because it really is going to be based off of that person's upbringing and their surroundings, and what are they seeing? Are they seeing uncles and father figures like just chasing after the girls, or are they around positive, males that are saying like, yeah, like that's an important part of relationship, but you want to be about your business. You want to be about grinding. You want to be about establishing your own and being able to take care of yourself and somebody else instead of just chasing, the ultimate